So we're going to talk about my little PPC archive. It's been going since 1998. Started out as CDs, it grew to 4 CDs, then 1 DVD, and in the past year, that also outgrew a double-sided DVD, and it's been a USB drive on its own ever since. So last year we had version 2.35. There was an interim version, and now the one that was released in April and is on this archive is 2.37. Okay, so in the archive history, you'll see the release date was April 1st, and there are 6 sections to the drive, and each one has gotten an update. And as of that point, we're close to 46,000 pages. And we'll talk about each one briefly. So the opening screen used to look like what it is on the left, and now it is on the right. There was a bunch of growing number of miscellaneous HP materials within the HpCalc section, and it seemed like it did more justice if it was separated into its own section. So you see down on the bottom there on the right, a section called HP Related Miscellaneous Material Version 1. So within the year, as I had said, we had increased from space to fit on a double-sided DVD around 8 gig, and it expanded, so we're now on a flash drive on its own. So section 1, when you go to section 1, you see what I call a jump page for the PPC, the US PPC material, 65 notes PPC journal, PPC calculator journal. And the primary expansion there, as shown in the lower left-hand corner, was the remember letters and auxiliary material that was added and scanned in color. Also, some sample issues that had not been available before were added, such as the promo sheet for the 65 Users Club, which is shown there at the bottom, and as many of the PPC special issues as could be found at that time. So you'll see in the jump page on the right, you'll see a couple of additional rows of material related to special issues and additional member lists from 1976 and a document related to HP41 assembler. The rest of it is pretty much the same at this point. Section 2, which it covers the True Chronicle, the HPX Exchange, PPC ROM material, and others, also had Keynotes stuff and HP65 Keynote. And on the left, you see the jump area that used to be there, and on the lower right is the new one. The short story is listed there on the lower left. It's called, I called it the Keynotes Project. Sylvain and Felix both offered materials, and we were able to add in European versions of many of the keynotes, which differed slightly from the American ones. So you'll see in some cases, the month is the same, like in 1977. In 78, 79, they differed by 1 month, and then 1980 and 83, they're in the same month. So now you can go between the US and the European version of some of these documents. These are all the ones that were able to be found at the time. Also, I was made aware, and I probably should have known this already, there was a short-lived newsletter called the HP65 Users News, and 2 issues were located, so I've got them in there as well. Section 3 is the HPCC data file, and in that time period, we had volume 36, number 3, so on the left, I was just showing the last version that was available under 2.35, and then 2.37, we added the 36 number 3, and this is the current version of the jump page for the section 3 for the data file. And for those who haven't seen it, the color corresponds to the color of the printed cover, the physical paper version of each issue. And there in the lower right-hand corner, year 2019 has volume 36, number 3 added in. Section 4 was sort of a potpourri of Australian publications and calculator conference proceedings. And for this version, the HHC 2019 conference material was added, along with a relatively old HP48SX alternate index, which had been presented at the 1992 London conference proceedings, and I finally got my hands on it again and incorporated in there. And there had been a preliminary conference report for 2019, which got replaced with the final version, which had expanded by 7 pages. And this is just to show the HHC 2019 material there, and you can see on the left-hand side is a list of all the presentations that were done there. Quite a lot of pages of stuff. And I think this was the second year in a row that Gene Wright presented remotely, and now we're all together remotely, so it's kind of interesting turn of events. In the EduCalc section, the only major change there was that the miscellaneous material was broken out and separated. So the specific EduCalc related materials will remain in there, called additional EduCalc materials. And then the HP stuff got moved to its own section because that was growing, primarily through materials made available by Bob Prosperi. So originally on the left, you see the list of the material that was available, and the top half, the top 20 were EduCalc specific, and the bottom part were HP miscellaneous. So on the right there, you'll see the EduCalc specific stuff remained, and I just put a little picture of the first page of each one. And then you'll see section 6 coming up here. So here is the new section 6. Going back again, you'll see I had 11 items, and now it's greatly expanded. The left-hand 2 columns of that jump page show individual documents, mostly in chronological order. I did have to rearrange a few things, and you'll see some samples of those, like in the left-hand column, Series 40 Advanced Programmable Calculators brochure, and a 4171 brochure, the AME port extender manual, and then on the right-hand side were samples of documents that were periodicals, and this shows all the issues that I was able to cobble together, and I'm still searching through my material for additional issues, such as like HP key bits. I have no issues from 1986 and 87. I'd love to get a hold of those. HP Basic Exchange, I suspect there's a few more issues to that. The SMI 48 forum, I had issues 1 through 11 plus 1 called volume 3, number 3, but my numbers 7, 8, and 9 are probably in a pile of stuff I haven't gone through yet. I got to find those. One quick story about the port extender manual. I happen to be the author of that manual, and the idea was that the port extender is a complex device, and you really have to know what you're doing. You can't just throw modules into the slots and expect the 41 to understand. So I put in there quite a lot of diagrams and explanations as to, port addressing and absolute addressing and stuff like that. And sometime after it had come out, Richard Nelson conducted a survey, and he asked people to discuss their feelings about manuals, the ones they like, the ones they hate. And it looks like this port extender manual was voted the worst manual anybody had ever seen, which I thought was kind of amusing. And it's because I guess people weren't entertained sufficiently. I've gone through it many times, and I like it, but maybe that's unfair. So last but not least, at the last minute, Eric went through and OCR'd everything, And just as an example, I went and searched through 4 documents for the word register, and sure enough, it popped up. HPCalc catalog number 40, page 7, the HHC 2019 conference proceedings, the PPC calculator journal, volume 8, number 6, found it, and HP Keynotes, volume 4, number 2. So it looks like it's working really well, and that should be a real helpful thing moving forward. So last but not least, you can check on the progress of the USB drive for the PPC archive. I'm still working on it. I've got another update coming probably in a month or so. So I've got a website there listing. You can go check on it to see when the next version will be available. And finally, again, if anybody happens to have missing issues of things such as Basic Exchange, Keybits, 48 Forum, Solve and Integrate newsletter, I would appreciate any chance to borrow those for scanning to add to the archive. So that's my story. I guess we can move on. Let's see. I need to give the system back. Or Mark, can you take it back?
Yeah, I can take it back. Thanks, Jake. That was great. Sure. Does anybody have any questions for Jake?
Yeah, can you put that slide up again that shows the website so I can take a snapshot? Thank you.
Sure.
And for newbies, this is Andras. This is where you can order, right? If you wanted to get this thing.
Correct.
Jake, you are doing really a great work. This is fantastic work you are doing. And I have, sort of two questions. First, we contacted a long time ago in 1999. I sent you some last member letters from True, from Richard Nelson. So at that time when we talked, you said that you have a huge amount of papers from that most exciting period of PPC history when 2 clubs got separated and something. You had a lot of material from that time. Will that material ever, come to this PPC?
It turns out I do have a PDF of all those documents. It's approximately 135 pages of material, collected mostly by Richard Nelson. And, my concern was that it was controversial, but perhaps 30 years later, it doesn't really matter anymore. It was like 1983, 84, so it's 36 years ago. And maybe since you're requesting it, maybe I should just add it in to the thing just so people could see it. The only stuff related to that in the archive right now was Richard Nelson's, I think it's a 4-page or an 8-page write-up called An Experiment Concludes. He got that published on the PPC side, and then when he started Chew, he wrote another, dare I say, manifesto called A Club for Hewlett-Packard Handheld Users, and he sort of described his ongoing philosophy there. And, sadly, PPC kind of took a left-hand turn and eventually ran out of support and stopped in the middle of 1987. And then Richard was continuing with Chew, but he couldn't get critical mass for the thing to be self-supporting. And then Brian Walsh attempted to pick up the slack with HPX Exchange. So we reached out to like 1990, but things kind of petered out at that point. So yeah, I mean, perhaps you've convinced me to just add that PDF to the system. I might as well do it because when I got the material, I immediately scanned it and put it together. But then I was kind of worried about releasing it to the public. I guess I should ask Richard if he's okay with it. He'll probably say yes, and then we can just go ahead and put it out there.
Great. And the other question, which also goes for that, everything we transfer via post, is it maybe time to change format to make it somehow available online with some donation from a member if he wants to read it, so you don't have to mail the boxes, pay the postage, and so on? Did you think about that even for the future, maybe?
I've thought about it. I guess I'm still thinking about it. I figured I was contributing the latest version to the conference USB drive each year, so attendees at least were getting it with their conference donation. This year, obviously, is different, in the past, the sales were helping pay for textbooks for my daughters in college, and I'll have to give it some serious thought.
Thank you very much. Keep up good work.
Thanks.
Jakes, have not forgotten you about the pamphlet. I need to buy a new scanner in order to the scanner that I have. It doesn't accept small pamphlet. I have to scan them manually instead of having an automatic feeder. So I need to buy that, and that will happen in the next month, a couple of months. And you should have something around the end of the year or next year.
Wow, that's great. So again, you probably know this, but I'll just throw it out there for anybody who has material to donate or to lend or whatever. My preference is 300 dots per inch, preferably color if it's in color, in the JPEG format, so that I can further manipulate the individual files and combine them to PDF afterward. But thanks for your help.
Jake, this is Andras again. Just let us know, tell us, real quick, how much time you have spent so far cumulatively on this versus how much you're spending, on a weekly or monthly basis on this project. Very curious.
Well, it started in 1998, so it's been going for 22 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been working very hard on the next version, which wasn't ready for this conference because I wanted to include the conference materials. And I would dare say between April and now, I've spent an average of 1 to 2 hours a day.
Wow.
Moving forward. One thing I'm working on, I'm not proud. I was never proud of the original scans of the PPC journals. They were done in a lousy way, and I've been trying to clean that up. So I've been going page by page and fixing stuff, and I'm all the way up to volume 12, number 7, from the beginning, which is about 3,300 pages already completed. But there's still more to go. I guess in the next release, I'll just release it wherever I happen to be at that time. But that's been quite an adventure, going through those pages one by one and trying to clean them up cosmetically. So it's been a lot of hours. I'm sure it's
ton of
been
work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.